And then the light spoke. And people say they see all these magnificent people in magnificent gowns and whatever. I never see the light that way. The light is just like a candle, the wick of a candle. And when he laughs, he moves back and forth. When we're just talking, he stands still. And but he's very, very white. You would think that would hurt your eyes to look at him, but it doesn't. It's just an existence that you're not afraid of. I'm sure most people would call it love. I don't know, but I was not afraid of him. And he said to me,
I'm here with my friend Linda DeLong, and she has had a lifetime of spiritual experiences that have shaped the way she lives her life. Linda, thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you being my guest.
"Thank you for having me."
Let's go back to the very beginning. I know you've had a lifetime of experiences, but these started actually in the crib for you. Can we go ahead and start there? What happened when you were an infant?
Just being in my crib in my nursery, holding my teddy bear and my doll, there would be a light appear in the ceiling. And that light just would telepathically communicate because obviously I didn't have language. And I wasn't very happy where I was at. Not that my parents were bad. It was just that um, I just didn't like it there. And I kept asking to come home. And the light just kept saying, "You signed a contract. You have a job to do. You have to stay." And so I kept arguing with him, which didn't do me any good. And then when I got language, I told my parents, I said, "I want to go home." And of course they said, "You are home." No, no, my other home. And I can't tell you what I saw, but I knew I had two homes. And as I grew older and more persistent, I said, "I want to go home." And then they started selling me to doctors, telling me I wasn't adopted and stuff. And I'm like, so I quit talking about it, like so many people do. The more I saw things I told them about. And then at 3, when I was just playing, um, my babysitter asked me who I was talking to. And I said, "Tudi." And she just went, "Oh, that's nice. You got a playmate." And I said, "He's right there." And, being 3 years old. And she said, "Okay, you got a playmate." So I agreed with her. But I never saw his form, and it took me 50 years to find out who Tudi was. I don't know where the word came from. I do now, but I don't know how it came into my being. How a deity from Egypt, who's older than time, basically, the records of him go back thousands of years.
So would you have like regular meetings with Tahuti? Like was Tahuti always there with you or would he come and go?
Kind of got lost in my life as I got older, um, because they all thought he wasn't real, and I didn't see anything but a light. So he became kind of like Casper did it, because I didn't know who he was. But then, like 50 years later, after 40 or 50 years later, um, my babysitter, of course, was grown. She had lost her husband, and we were watching the History Channel, and I'm going, "Oh my God, Tahuti's real." And that was the first time I'd ever heard that Tudi had other names, that he was known throughout the world. Now I know he's on the Library of Congress's doors. I know about the Emerald Tablets, but he did not stay with me. The light I was talking to then as Tudi, I think were two different things. I don't think it was universal light, unless they are the same. But so far, I don't think they are the same. Maybe they're all in the realm of being deities, but not the supreme deity or God, whatever you want to call them. Because as we move on, Tudi, I've learned a lot about him. And I think now he's playing a role in maybe channeling. I'm not sure. Somebody's doing some channeling I don't understand. But at 14, if you want me to go on, but what happened at 14 is when, after years of telling people about spirits in my house, of somebody walking across my floor and every night waking me up, and there was a smell in my room that was sweet, and they would just go, "Yep, you're having dreams. Okay, whatever." So then at 14, I was in bed, and my room lit up like, I don't know if you still have mercury lights or not, but my whole room lit up like somebody had put this huge light in my room. And I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. We had an old farmhouse built in 1837, and I think it's built on ley lines. Possibly there's a vortex there. Because most of I can understand, the best I can understand is from, you see a ley line map, they do intercept in that area. But possibly it's a vortex. I don't know. But I know no one's been able to use a computer there until they started using satellite trains. I think it's what you call them. Until then, no one could use a computer in the house, and you couldn't use your cell phone. So back to the night, my room lit up. 7 beings came from somewhere. Their gowns either were glowing or opalescent. They were just beautiful. And they, of course, they were taller than me, but I was only 14. I wouldn't say they were giants. I don't know, but they were taller than me. But they just touched my hand. And I should have been afraid of them, but there was something about them that just made me know I had to go with them. I don't know how we got out of our bedroom. It was on the 2nd story, but we just went out of my window or the wall, whatever we did, and I just started seeing the houses around me, the lake I lived on, trees, and then we started going faster, and it was like you were in the galaxies. You could see stars, you could see shapes, but I don't really know where exactly we were. It was sort of like your background. And then it got dark for just a few, whatever, seconds, whatever. And they left, and I was standing in a round white room. And it was just pristine white. The only thing there was like a circular bowl. It had a white rim, but when you looked inside, things were moving. So I don't know if it was like a viewing room, a viewing bowl or something. But anyway, and then the light spoke. And people say they see all these magnificent people in magnificent gowns and whatever. I never see the light that way. The light is just like a candle, the wick of a candle. And when he laughs, he moves back and forth. When we're just talking, he stands still. But he's very, very white. You would think that would hurt your eyes to look at him, but it doesn't. It's just an existence that you're not afraid of. I'm sure most people would call it love. I don't know, but I was not afraid of him. And he said to me, "You are a chosen one." I want to make this clear, not the children. Okay, but one of them. And from now on, we're going to have visits and we're going to have lessons. And so at 14, they started and they continue. I don't really get lessons now because I can just go home on my own. If I have a question for him, I just go home. But so I don't know when we stopped having lessons that I really remember, but we'd always go someplace safe, garden, my grandma's house, her flower garden, something. And wherever I was at, I would hear like a hooting of an owl or a pigeon. It was some kind of bird. And I transformed to him. The light in my room was a constant one. And for a long time, I was trying to figure out if the light was a universal one. But I don't think they are the same. I don't really know. But because Tudi left my life, or Thoth, whatever you want to call him, kind of went dormant. But at 14, the light became part of my life totally. And even though I didn't go for lessons as I got older, I mean, I've been married 56 years. I had 4 kids, college and all that. And it wasn't like every day I got a message, but I would, when I would hear this cooing noise or hooting noise, I don't know what it was, but it was a bird. And ironically, when I do readings now, lots of times that same sound will come, kind of like a verification. And I don't know if that's what it is, but out of nowhere, this hooting noise will start. And so for years, he told me I wouldn't remember anything. Well, just last year, I said, I'm getting pretty old. If you want me to talk, you better tell me to talk. And being 74, soon to be 74, I said, if you want me to talk to people on Earth, unless you're going to make me live a long time, you better let me talk. And all of a sudden, people like you start reaching out. And after that, the whole world just went upside down. And not in a bad way, but in a wonderful way. Because all of a sudden, I almost feel like crying. But all of a sudden, people are hearing me say things that I've been saying all my life. And they're going, oh my God, I've had the same issue. I see things, people say I'm crazy, people say I'm sinning, people are saying this. And you're saying that it's okay. And so even though it was overwhelming and I couldn't keep up with the readings, and it was so validating to finally have someone say, yeah, my mom did wear that colored dress. My mom did like this flower. And they're so excited that I can communicate with them. So kind of lost my track here, but the light would just come get me. And if I was in bed, I was playing with my kids, if I was doing dishes, I heard that noise. There really was no loss of time. I would just come back to whatever I was doing, but I would know I was been with the light. So that's why it took so many years to put things together.
Do you know who the light is? Is it like an alien or extraterrestrial, or is it a spiritual being, or are those the same?
I'm really questioning that because one of my guides is an alien. I have 5 guides. One's Native American. I have one alien, 2 ladies with different personalities, and another man. And when I do a reading, of course I have my Archangel Michael, as far as I can figure out from what other people tell me he looks like to them. And then my council. So my bubble gets really big. Okay. So when I seal myself in my bubble to do meditation, sometimes a Native American takes over and he'll know about this person. Sometimes this kind of hippie lady that's in my circle, she takes over and tells people to chill out, basically, which I know sounds really silly. And sometimes Archangel Michael just takes over and goes, I got something to say, and he tries to take over the conversation. And I know this sounds real, no wonder they gave me pills, huh? But that's
Times
how
have
it is.
changed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it happens. I just know the council is still there. They told me years ago they were light beings, and now they appear as light beings, the hooded beings that came in my room. But they said people wouldn't understand light beings. And so now they're just light beings. And when I go home, they come home with me if I ask them to. And the flame always greets me, or the light greets me with welcome home, child. It's been a while. And we converse like you and I. And one time I asked Archangel Michael to be quiet. And someone said, you told an angel to be quiet? I said, well, he was interrupting the other spirits. And I said, you need to be quiet or I couldn't talk to the other people. But that's how my guides are, and that's how I talk to them, just like I'm talking to you.
So you're more like equals rather than them being above you. Is that true?
I never thought about it being equal, but we are a soul circle, if you want to call it. Even when I do a reading, like if I was doing a reading for you, if I thought it was necessary, I would ask your presence to come into the circle with me. And then you would be protected. And I also would be protected in case you have something that you wouldn't mean to harm me, but it might be harmful to the reading. And so I'll just keep you in the bubble with me, and when I do readings with my grandkids and with their parents' permission, we go in the bubble, we have a candle, and we just tell that the only people that come in here are people that have only truth. If you're coming in here with falsehoods, you're not allowed in my bubble. And I found out, ironically, I'm not the only person who uses the bubble. They may have a different name for it, but they do the same thing. They put themselves in a protective shield. And that's another example of just the more groups I join, trying to figure things out, because I'm still learning for sure. People do put a shield up, and now I tell the people that I read, or that I tell them, you don't have to make a bubble up, but you need to ask your guides, your angel, whatever that you rely on, that you are putting a protective shield around yourself. Because a couple of people I haven't been able to break through to, one of them was they were carrying crystals in their pocket. I found out later that his wife had a crystal shop. And I said, do you have crystals in your pocket? And he said, yeah. I said, well, can you take them out and give them permission to talk to me? And after he did that, I could talk to him, or his spirit could talk to me. So people just have to know that if you want to say equal, we're all equal. We're all equal to light. We're all equal with our next door neighbor. And We just don't understand that we're equal because we've been taught for so many years that we are sinners. There's this fiery pit that we're going to go to. Can I tell you it doesn't exist? But I'm pretty damn sure it doesn't. If you have to beat that, beat it. But you know, I can't believe that a universal light would create us in his image. He'd throw us in a pit. I do think when someone like Hitler goes home and a few other people I can think of, he's not going to give them a medal. And he's not going to send them right back down here or let them go to another universe and do damage. But I think the light beings and the light himself, the person will be like recycled and learn new lessons. Because I just can't imagine he made you in his image and you carry his DNA basically. Why would he throw you in a pit to burn up? But again, I've been to home lots of times. If there's another place that's got to help, I haven't seen it.
That's comforting to know. And what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It's like us sending our children, maybe they get punished temporarily, but not
It's
for
a
all
horrible.
eternity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about, you said this light being told you that you wouldn't remember and you were going to get all these lessons that you wouldn't remember. Um, and this light being used to come to you on a regular basis, but now you can just go to the light being. Is this something that everyone has the ability to do, or how do you do that? And can we learn how to do that ourselves?
I think we can, but we're human beings. We're programmed that the universal light is so powerful that we're not worthy of going there. And can I say everybody can do it? But I know my granddaughter can do it. She doesn't call it the light, but she can meditate. Um, all my grandkids can talk to animals telepathically. Um, is I think that the hardest part for people to realize is that, excuse me, we're in a, this is nothing but a fancy dress, okay? If you were on another planet, maybe you'd wear something else. But the only thing that matters is the particle with a light. And if you reach out, every time you hold somebody's hand and you hold it with true love, it doesn't mean if it's a homeless person, but if you don't reject them, you accept them where they're at. And then I guess it's like making a cake. You just keep building until you got the right recipe. So I don't know how you do it. I don't know how it happened to me. They picked me. I had never meditated in my life. I was 14. I kept trying churches. I couldn't stand them. I tried really hard. I went to multiple churches, and every time I went, I found out I was a sinner. After I had daughters, two of them were gifted till the age of 5. And to this day, I don't know what happened, but they both developed water on the brain and became impaired. And they still live with us. But what the church said and multiple relatives said, I must have sinned someplace. Is the sins of the father fell back on the children. And so my handicapped kids are my fault, or my husband's.
Do you think maybe it's a lesson that they need to learn, and maybe not your fault, but maybe a gift so that they
And with my
can.
daughter, it was a gift, even though my one daughter still sleeps with a queen size mattress beside her bed, because if she falls out of bed, she's not able to swallow, and they want her to have a tube in her stomach to feed her. And it's like, no, she likes her boogie board. She likes to be at the ocean. Uh, blah, blah, blah. I'll grind every piece of food she eats, and I'll grind all of her medicine. And if she dies of dignity, she dies of dignity. My other daughter, uncontrolled seizures, has got hurt multiple times, but they they have boyfriends, they go to parties, they go to proms, they're on bowling leagues. They're as normal as they can be. I'm not saying there's not a lot of tears, but we adopted 2 children that were supposed to be impaired. Well, I have 3 beautiful granddaughters, and neither of them are impaired. I mean, my adopted children. So I don't know how to tell people except they chose me. So maybe when you're doing meditation, if you ask your angel, and maybe the name comes up, Gomer Pyle as your angel, who knows? Maybe that is your angel's name. Write it down. Trust in what you see. If you're not hurting anybody, trust in what you see. Because oftentimes we say, hey, who's my guide? Who's my angel? And we get a name that for some reason doesn't fit what we think it's going to be. So we just kind of go, oh, well, I'll try again. And if we see an orb or other things, we have to have a reason why we saw it. Instead of saying, thank you. Can I help you? What do you need? So we get all the messages. And before I actually started seeing the light, as far as I know, there's a baby buried in my parents' basement, a Native American baby. It was built on Native American land. I could hear it crying. I knew right where it was. My son went up one time to deliver school things, and he saw a lady standing at the top of the stairs house. He never went up to my parents' house alone again. But they're just there. Smells are there. I tell everybody I do a reading for, keep a piece of paper by you. You can make it a fancy journal. You can take it put it on the back of a receipt from CVS, but keep something there to write down familiar numbers, familiar letters, familiar animals, and just try to eliminate things that don't seem to have a commonality. And a lot of people call me back, oh my goodness, Uncle Joe like this or Aunt Susie like this. I think they are reaching out, So that's the only way I would think how to get home to light is not to let your guard down, to let negative issues down, but don't always have a barrier between you and the unknown. Because like you said, near death and spiritual awakenings and spiritual abductions have a lot of commonalities. And the one thing is missing time and not you won't remember.
You had an epiphany recently, actually, when you were getting some information together for me to do this interview. You had an epiphany about why we don't remember. Can you tell me what came to you?
I was just I can't explain what happened, like most things in my life, but writing the bio for you, all of a sudden something happened. And I went, you kept telling me not to remember. But when I start joining these groups, like I said before, I already know it. I just don't know it by that name. And what I think happens when you really have internalized the light, and if you get that message, you won't remember what I said. It's not like you're going to remember it like reciting a poem, but they've infused lessons into you, almost like it becoming part of your DNA. And if you listen to your body after them telling you that, think about how you're different after having it. Maybe you don't remember exactly where you went. And people see different things every place they go. But the common thing is you won't remember. But sitting at my computer writing for you, it was like someone just went, bam. Maybe it's this way. Maybe you do know. Maybe it's there, and that's why you changed your life. Maybe that's why you started your broadcast. You know, you did it to help other people. And whatever happened to make you want to do that, maybe something was infused in you to make that happen.
And
And
I want to just point out something real quick while you're saying that about this podcast specifically. And I feel like what you're saying does resonate with me because there was a calling that I had, an actual physical sensation pulling in my chest. Like there was something physical built into me to make me, to kind of start me on this path. So what you're
I see
saying
a little
makes,
tears sitting in your eyes too.
what's that?
Your eyes, I can tell there's a little bit of tears and happiness or whatever,
Yeah.
you're emotional.
Yeah, yeah, it makes so much sense. And for this to be uncovered and true, it can really change how we look at what we experience in near-death experiences or other spiritual experiences. It's not like we're not remembering, it's just we're not remembering with our minds. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Right. You're, if I'm right, like I said, I never know if I'm right till I'm validated. Who knows if this will be validated? But in a reading, if I see something that's so out of character of what I'm seeing, all of a sudden a football gets in there in one reading. It turned out the little girl couldn't catch a softball, so her mother used a football. But the mother threw that in there in the middle of a dance scene, you know, 'cause she was showing me the dance. But I write everything down. If people call me back, I say, you know, if they have a question. And that's what she said. I couldn't catch a little ball, but I could catch the football. There's a validation there. And I think, especially with my daughters, by golly, I'd like to forget that lesson, you know? But it also brought me my two adopted children. I don't use adopted. Like at my son's wedding, in his speech, he said, my mom said I was a very big baby. Well, he was 6 years old when he came to me. And so I even did them baby books that only started when they came to us. So they all have books that only start when my two adopted children came. But yeah, I'm really, really happy. And I'm really, really excited. And I told my husband after I told you, and he's like, so you're saying, I'm like, never mind. But I do feel that, especially now when it seems like the world is moving so rapidly, and it just makes much more sense that we're infused. If we choose to take that infusion, fine. And we can go to the hospital and say, no, I don't want this vaccine. No, I don't want you to give me this pill. And we can let it stay dormant. And maybe we'll get better, maybe we won't. But if it's not a word we're supposed to remember, maybe it's how to treat the universe, how to treat other people. Maybe if we think we're really poor, and there's no doubt there's a lot of people poor, but most of us, if we actually put our pluses together, something I tell people, fold a piece of paper in half, put your pluses on one side, put your minuses on the other side. And either eliminate your minuses or move them to your positives. And I think that's what it's all about. I mean, yeah, I need another bigger house. I need a housekeeper. But, you know, I can live without them. I've got food on the table. I can share it with other people. So start looking at it being infused in you to be whatever you feel your journey is. I don't know why it came, but I feel so good after getting that message.
I love the message. I think it can be very helpful for people when they're struggling to remember what happened in their experiences and to know that those lessons aren't lost, but we're living them with our body now instead of with our mind. So I love it.
Brought it out because I was writing the bio and it just dropped down. So I was supposed to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I believe that for 100%. Thank you for sharing that with my viewers as well here on the podcast, because you never know who that's going to really hit home for and make a big difference.
But that's what happens with so many of my people. And then but they're always saying, I'm always trying to find the answer. And yet I meditate and I meditate and I meditate and nothing comes through. And I'm like, well, are you feeling comfortable after you meditate? Are you relaxed after you meditate? Are you stressed out? If you're stressed out, then you're getting nothing from it. So don't stress out. Go for a walk and look for a beautiful flower and let that be your meditation. Come back and try it traditionally, whatever you think is tradition. I don't think I've ever meditated traditionally for years. Usually I sat in my birdcage chair on my lanai, my feet, the older it gets, getting hard to do, but with my feet crossed and a candle lit, just looking out at nature and then asking questions of the life. So I think, like I said, humans try too hard, and maybe you've already been infused with it. So go with your intuition and look for that tiny grain of sand if that's all it is. Maybe you're supposed to move that so a caterpillar can crawl over it. I don't know. It doesn't have to be, winning the lotto, which would be nice, but, take what you find and the word is accentuate it anyway, make it larger, make it brighter, you know, instead of always thinking you don't know the answer. Because if this is right, you already know the answer. You just got to let it come through.
I think that your audio is starting to sound muffled. Oh no, that's better now.
Okay.
It was weird. It was just like one sentence and it sounded like it was
Maybe the
muffled.
light, maybe the light came through.
Maybe. Oh my gosh.
I don't
And
know. I mean, I've been doing readings, and all of a sudden, I hear this voice, and not a voice, but I'll see things, and it'll be the light. It can be their husband, and it just pops in.
Speaking of the light, I want to go back to when you were in this white room. The light took you to this white room where you saw a glass, like a bowl, and you thought maybe it was like a looking glass. That reminds me of Dr. Moody, where Dr. Moody got his idea for the psychomantium in ancient times. People would look at like a black mirror or a surface, that they could divinate from, or even like the crystal ball. That's where it comes from as well, as
Right.
being able to look at this reflective surface or a clear surface and see the future, or whatever you're looking for. Um, do you know more about this looking glass or this bowl that you were looking at? Were you getting visions through it, or was it just something that was?
I did get visions. Um,
And I find it interesting also that now you're a medium and you were able to, or you're psychic, and you visited in this white room with the light and this looking bowl, and now you have this gift of divination. So I wonder if that's connected.
being 14 and 60 years ago, um, I just know that it wasn't solid. If it was solid, it would be like some people have coffee tables, and they'll have like something in them like fish, or they'll have movement in it, or they'll have light in them. I just know it wasn't solid. I don't know if I was looking into a vortex or if I was looking into the universe, but when I was looking into the bowl, the light said, "You are a chosen one." So I don't I don't really know what I saw. All I know that it seemed to be moving, but like I didn't see any people. And again, it was maybe like your background. It wasn't anything distinct. I mean, there wasn't a bird flying in there. There wasn't, an airplane flying through it. It just seemed to be moving. So I don't know if it was something fluid moving or what it is. But back to one thing you said, I just found out my granddaughter, when she does readings, when she helps me out, I see words. I see people. Like when they come through in a reading, they come as a light being, and then they take shape. Okay. So if Aunt Susie used to wear purple dresses, she may have a purple dress on. Okay. But I was talking with my granddaughter. I asked her to look for something, and she said, "You always ask me to look for something. I've never told you this. I only see black." And that's kind of like the ancient times. I forget who it was. But didn't they used to go to a spring or something, and there was this black mirror or something that they looked into?
There was, yes, vision, gazing at black mirrors, or like black obsidian, like a
Yeah.
black reflective surface. Yes.
Yeah. And so I don't know if that's the same thing, but she doesn't see anything. She gets her information basically from a void. Um, she don't see people, she don't see color, she don't see anything, but she knows what she sees. And I always thought she saw things like I did, like words and stuff, because she would tell me that. But it's interesting you brought that up, because uh, I had forgot about the mirrors and things, and that would be similar to what she does. Because I see things, but she just sees darkness. So,
And
um,
then, so you were with these seven beings. Okay, so I'm confused about the light being. Was it seven beings or one? that
There
came
was
into your
some
room?
that's where Tudi and things get mixed up, because the 7 beings that came to my room, until I knew they were light beings, were wearing hoods, and they were like an opalescent or glowing, and they're still with me. They're I call them my counsel. I Because my guides, Michael sometimes comes home with me, but usually it's just the counsel, and then I go home to the light. I ask for permission, and if I'm doing a meditation, say, hey, I've got a problem. Can you talk to you? And just like when I was younger, I'm there. Um, the light is usually by a library, and the library has very unique books. But these beings, the 7 beings, usually travel with me when we go home, the council, whatever you want to call them. But once they don't appear in anything except as light beings now, they're just orbs, basically. They take form sometimes, but usually they just show up as orbs. And when we're at the library, the books are very, very unique. First scrolls, then traditional books, and then something that looks like the VHS. But when you open up any of these, they're not stories of you or a story just of me. It's a complete civilization. So maybe it's not civilization, maybe it's of a person. I don't know which it is, but it's not just about one person. It seems to be a collage of a civilization. And the one time that I was told to open a scroll by the light, I seen a place similar to Earth, but the sky was purple. There were no vehicles, but there were things flying. Closest I could figure out, maybe like cars, maybe spaceships, but there was nothing on the ground. There was no roads. There was just like an environment of similar to Earth, green trees and that kind of stuff, but no houses, nothing. Everything either was underground or in the sky, because that's all I saw. And he wants me to open another one. So far, I'm asking if I could wait till I have more, so I don't have anything else to think about. But the reason Tahuti and the Universal Light do have so many similarities are they both have a library. They both have a library. Of course, Thoth is the Amenti library, supposedly under the pyramids. I have 7 beings that are there's 7 of them. If you read the Emerald Tablets, which is very controversial, but there are 7 beings. For some reason, he numbers them. I forget which numbers he skips, but 9. But there's really only 7. And he left 7, or he didn't leave them, but 7 beings are left at the Library of Amenti.
You didn't know anything about the Library of Amenti or the Emerald Tablets of Thoth when you were 14 or when you were a child and all these things were happening to you. Yet, you were learning things that you later validated in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which I find really fascinating.
That's why I don't know if they are the same being, but there's a lot of commonalities. Both 7 beings or 7 teachers, both, except Tahuti has a form. The light just has a flame. At least that's how I see him. And at the Library of Amenti, if I'm right, if I was there, I only see the teachers, and we'll have to touch that another time, but he just showed me the teachers about 6 weeks ago. Because I said, if this exists, tell me what you're showing me.
Can you go to this library anytime you want?
Yeah. Yeah, I've only had a couple of times I've asked to find people. And this one woman was really afraid she had sinned again and that her family wasn't going to accept her. So I went home and the light just pulled out a book and he said, opened it up and he went, see? And he pointed to her. Go back and tell her she's there and she's okay. So sometimes I feel like I'm in a dimension myself trying to explain these things because they happen for no apparent reason. And before I went public, I helped people cross over just because I'd be in a group and someone would say something and I'd message them and say, you want help, I'll help you. And I would talk to the person that was having trouble crossing over and they'd tell me why they couldn't cross over. And twice I saw them actually cross over. So like I said, no wonder I got a lot of pills.
How did they find you?
They'd be on a site and I would put something on there like, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I do meditation and stuff and I talk to spirits. I don't know what it would be. Or I just tell somebody, if you need help, message me. And if they reach out, then I reach back.
So they would be on the site.
The same
And
site, like if I was on, like, let's say I'm on your site and someone's struggling with something that I think I can help with, I'll just say, if you want some help, message me. I'm not trying to get money from you. Just message me and I'll see if I can help you. And so that's how I would reach out to them.
how did the ones that needed help crossing over find you?
That one particular one was so angry and her friend was trying to find her and she couldn't connect with her. And so I just said, hey, whatever her name was, so-and-so is trying to reach you. And she was just livid. She was really angry. And she said, the church. And I said, what? And she, my daughter. And so I went back to the person that's still living and I said, does she have a daughter? Is there something about the church? She said, yeah, the church said she was a sinner. Her parents got custody of her kids. And she didn't get a chance to say goodbye to her daughter. And she's very angry. She just wants to say goodbye to her daughter. So I go back to the spirit and I say, what can we do to make you be able to say goodbye to your daughter? In this case, she said, tell my friend, my daughter likes rocks. Will she find a special rock? Will you find a special rock and tell her it's from me? Go back to the person that's alive. And she said, sure. Now, whether she did or not, I don't know. But the spirit just did, like on the TV show, she just kind of ascended and disappeared. I mean, it sounds like a TV show, like I'm ready from a script, but that's how it happens. They gravitate to me if I reach out to them. That's why I think like we were talking about, the Epiphany. Reach out, especially if been told you're a chosen one. Reach out and say, "What's your name?" I'm here. But again, use a protective. I don't know if you want to call it a prayer. Use sage, whatever you think is a protection. Because there are people. I don't think there are evil people out there to hurt you in spirits, but there are poltergeists out there that like to play games. And use some protective shields of some type. And mine is a bubble. I just don't allow anybody in, and I use candles. But even last night, setting up, thinking about this, I'm pretty sure I had a couple shadow people walking around the house. At first, I thought it was a cat doing this. We have 3 pretty active kittens or cats that all adopted us, but then I realized there weren't any cats in the room. So I don't know if there were shadow people, but shadow people don't scare me.
If my viewers wanted to reach out to you to get a reading, or if they have more questions, how can they find you?
I'm on Facebook, so go to Facebook, and it got very confusing because I tried to set up 2 Facebooks, but you look under Linda DeLong or Linda McCollum DeLong. That's what I'm under. You should be able to find it that way.
Okay. I can link that down below also so people can find you easily.
Okay. I can't see it, but they can reach out. The only thing I ask is they not call me before they text me. A few people have just called me, and it's like, I don't mind talking to them, but I'd rather they text me first. But as corny as it sounds, to me, the only key is to keep trying to reach out to the other person, and they're there. If you've lost somebody, they're there. They're just giving you signs you don't understand. And if we do another one, I'll give you a list of signs that they reach out by, because I give that to other people. Just keep that piece of paper because they're there. You just gotta recognize they're there. So
I think that will be very useful and very comforting to a lot of people. Thank you so much, Linda, for your time. I really enjoyed this immensely. You're a beautiful soul. I appreciate you.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing if you enjoy near-death experiences and other spiritually transformative stories. It helps the algorithm know that this information is useful and push it out to more people. And that's the goal, to get as many people to know that we are eternal spiritual beings and that we never die. Our bodies might die, but our essence will never die. And I want people to live with less fear. Let's all spread the word. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that little notification bell so you get all the notifications when my videos post. Thank you for all of your support. I'm sending love to you.